The entire palace froze when the alien queen's daughter ran and hugged me. Eli Parker felt a strange mix of excitement and fear as he approached the shimmering gates of the Zorathian palace. He had studied alien cultures in books and holovids for years, but nothing could prepare him for the sight before him. The palace floated above the crystal blue surface of a distant planet, its towers glowing softly with colors that shifted like liquid rainbows. The air around the palace shimmered with strange energy, and Eli's translator droid buzzed nervously beside him. "This is it, Eli," the small droid said, its voice sharp but tinged with artificial excitement. "The Zorathian Empire's central court. One step wrong, and you could offend a species that has dominated this sector for centuries. That tends to impress aliens who overestimate predictability." Inside, the palace was even more breathtaking. Towering ceilings made of crystalline structures reflected the light from floating orbs, casting patterns on the marble floors. Holographic birds glided through the air, chirping in a language Eli could not understand. The walls displayed scenes from Zorathian history, battles, great leaders, and discoveries that spanned thousands of years. Eli's task was simple in theory: represent humanity in first contact talks, observe the culture, and build a bridge of trust. In practice, it felt impossible. The court was tense with curiosity and wariness, and Eli could sense the Zorathians' silent judgments with every step he took. A gentle vibration ran through the floor, and a soft hum filled the air. "They are aware of us," Arlo said, spinning to scan the hall. "Every Zorathian in the palace knows you are here. You may be the most observed human in history." The hall grew larger, opening into a grand space where the royal court gathered. Alien nobles floated slightly above the ground, their limbs and appendages moving with an elegance Eli found both beautiful and intimidating. Long banners hung from the ceilings, displaying symbols Eli did not recognize. He realized that every step he took was being carefully watched, every glance recorded. A hush fell over the room as a new presence entered. Eli followed the gaze of the courtiers and froze. From the far end of the hall, moving like a ripple through a still pond, came a figure that made his heart leap. She was unlike anything Eli had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with soft metallic hues, and her hair floated around her head in delicate waves, as if weightless. Her eyes glowed with a gentle light, and she carried herself with the effortless grace of someone who knew she could command the attention of everyone in the room. Princess Lyra. Eli had read about her. The daughter of the Zorathian queen, she had been kept mostly out of public view. Rumors said she was curious about humans, but no human had ever met her face to face. She was known for her intelligence, her skill in diplomacy, and her unusual compassion for other beings. And now she was walking straight toward him, her gaze fixed, unwavering. Eli felt a jolt of panic. What do you do when an alien princess approaches you? He reminded himself to breathe, to act natural, and to stick to protocol. He straightened his back, lifted his chin, and extended a hand in a formal greeting. But before he could speak, Lyra did something no one expected. She ran. She ran across the grand hall with a speed that surprised him, and without hesitation she threw her arms around him. The room froze. Courtiers stopped mid-motion, their eyes wide with disbelief. Guards paused, unsure of how to react. Even Arlo, who was programmed to calculate probabilities and unlikely events, went silent. Eli's first reaction was shock. His arms went up awkwardly, then instinctively he hugged her back. Her skin was soft, warmer than he expected. Her eyes glowed brighter as she whispered words in a broken human language. "I remember you." She nodded quickly, then stepped back, keeping her hands lightly on his shoulders. "You helped long ago, on Earth. You didn't know, but I felt it. You helped me, you didn't know it. You saved me. I knew humans could be brave." Her trust, her recognition, it was something entirely alien yet profoundly moving. Arlo buzzed nervously. "Eli, this is highly irregular. Protocols are being violated at an unprecedented scale." "Now walk with me." Some looked angry, others curious, but none dared intervene. They entered a corridor lined with shimmering walls that displayed shifting constellations and alien symbols. Lyra's presence seemed to calm Eli, though his mind raced with questions. Why had she hugged him? How could she recognize him? What did this mean for human-Zorathian relations? Finally, they reached a quiet chamber filled with soft light. Lyra turned to him, her expression serious. "You must understand. You're kind humans, you have potential, courage, compassion, and you think differently than we do. That makes you dangerous to some, but it also makes you important." He had trained for diplomacy, for conversations, for negotiations. Nothing had prepared him for this. Instead, he nodded, trusting his instincts. Lyra smiled faintly. "I have watched you from afar. I know you are not like the others. You make choices with your heart even when the world expects logic. That is why I sought you out." It was as if time itself had recognized something in him, and this alien being had come across light years to acknowledge it. He swallowed and asked carefully, What happens now?" This was more than diplomacy. This was an invitation into a world he barely understood, into the life of a princess whose people had never truly trusted humans. Yet she trusted him. That thought alone filled him with awe and a sense of purpose. They began walking deeper into the palace. Each step revealed wonders that defied imagination. Floating gardens with plants that glowed like stars, corridors where gravity shifted and made them float briefly, and walls that displayed memories of generations past. Eli marveled at everything, but he also felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. The eyes of an entire empire were still upon him. Lyra glanced at him, noticing his tension. "Do not be afraid. Humans think differently, and that is your strength. Do not let their fear limit you." As they walked, Eli could not help but wonder what would happen when the queen learned of this hug, of this connection. Would it bring war or would it bring hope? Only time would tell. But at that moment, for the first time, he felt that humans might not just survive in the galaxy, they might shine. And all of it had begun with a simple, unexpected hug from an alien princess. Eli followed Princess Lyra through the palace halls, his mind racing with questions and awe. Every step revealed wonders that no human had ever imagined. The walls shimmered with moving images of stars and galaxies, and soft hums of energy flowed through the floors. Light seemed alive here, dancing and changing in patterns that made the entire place feel almost magical. Lyra led him through corridors that curved and twisted in ways that challenged his sense of direction. Gravity subtly shifted in some areas, making him feel lighter or heavier at times. He stumbled occasionally, but Lyra's hand always brushed against his arm, steadying him. Her touch was gentle but firm, and each time it happened, Eli felt a strange warmth, as if he belonged in this alien world. "Where are we going?" Eli asked, trying to keep up. "To places humans have never been," Lyra said with a small smile. "I want you to see what the Zorathians have built. I want you to understand us, not from the court's point of view, but from my own." They entered a chamber filled with floating gardens. Plants of every imaginable color glowed softly, their leaves and petals swaying in an invisible breeze. Small, luminescent creatures flitted among the flowers, leaving trails of light behind them. Eli knelt down to touch a soft, crystal-like flower, and it seemed to respond to his presence, bending slightly toward him. "These are the memory flowers," Lyra explained. "They record the emotions of those who touch them. Each petal holds a memory of joy, fear, hope. Every human touch is recorded differently than a Zorathian's. That is why I wanted you to see this." Lyra seemed to sense his thoughts. "The court will talk," she said. "They will not understand why I chose to trust a human. But you must understand, Eli, humans have something Zorathians often lack: courage that is guided by empathy, not just logic." Towers of holographic books floated in midair, rotating slowly so that Eli could see every title. He reached out and touched a floating volume, and images and sounds filled the air around him. History, science, art. everything the Zorathians had discovered in their long history. Lyra watched him with interest. "Humans are curious," she said. "You cannot help but learn. You do not just read the surface. You question, you explore. That is why I admire your kind. I hope your kind survives, because one day you may change the galaxy more than you realize." "There are those in the court who will try to use you," she said quietly. "They will see your presence as an opportunity to gain favor or to sow distrust between our peoples. Some Zorathians think humans are unpredictable and dangerous. Others think we can be allies if we are guided properly. My choice to trust you goes against tradition, and that will make enemies." They entered a room filled with strange devices, some pulsing with energy, others spinning in perfect synchronization. Lyra gestured to a large panel of holograms. "These are the palace's energy cores and communication arrays. They keep the palace alive and connect us to other Zorathian colonies across the galaxy. Humans haven't built anything like this yet. Your technology, it's beyond anything we imagined. One day your kind may help us use this knowledge differently, more wisely. Follow me." Some will try to use fear to manipulate the queen or to make humans appear weak. You cannot let them succeed. You must trust your instincts. That is why I believe in you. "They are testing me as well," she said. "They will try to provoke a reaction. We must stay calm." Despite the tension, Eli felt a strange exhilaration. This was what humans were good at, facing the unknown, thinking quickly, and finding solutions where others saw only obstacles. He felt a surge of determination. If his people were to be accepted in this alien empire, he would not fail, not if he could help it. Lyra led him to a room where the walls were covered in holographic star maps, showing colonies, trade routes, and uncharted territories. She gestured to a small projection of Earth. "Your planet, we have studied it, but you have something no map can show, spirit. That is why I sought you. I just hope we are worthy of your trust." He realized that the palace was full of hidden dangers, and yet with Lyra by his side, he felt a courage he had never known before. They entered a chamber filled with delicate crystals that amplified sound. Lyra clapped her hands once, and a beautiful harmonic note filled the room. The crystals responded, vibrating and sending ripples of light across the walls. Eli was mesmerized. "This is the palace's music chamber," Lyra explained. "It records the emotions of those who enter. It can sense joy, fear, love, and anger. It reflects them back as sound and light. Humans can influence it uniquely because your emotions are raw and unpredictable." All that remained was the beauty of the palace, the presence of Lyra, and the realization that humans could indeed make a difference, even here, among beings far more advanced than himself. Lyra smiled at him. "You see, you are not just a visitor. You are part of this world now, and part of the future we will build together." He did not yet know how humans would influence the Zorathians, but he knew that this moment, the trust, the bond, the shared understanding was only the beginning. And somewhere in the hidden corners of the palace, the conspirators whispered, plotting their next move. But Eli Parker, human and unpredictable, was ready. He would face whatever challenges came next, not with fear but with courage, empathy, and the indomitable spirit of his people. For the first time, he understood what it meant to be a bridge between worlds, and he knew that nothing, not politics, not prejudice, not even the weight of history, could stop him from trying. Eli had never felt so many emotions at once. Curiosity, awe, and a strange sense of purpose mingled in his chest as he followed Princess Lyra through the palace's hidden chambers. Yet, beneath the beauty and wonder, he felt tension simmering, a silent, unseen danger lurking in the shadows. They entered a vast hall where the ceiling stretched into an impossible height, disappearing into a soft haze of glowing light. In the center, a massive holographic map floated above the floor, displaying the entire Zorathian Empire. Stars twinkled like tiny jewels, and lines of energy connected the planets, pulsing gently as if alive. "This is our strategic hall," Lyra explained, gesturing to the map. "Here, we monitor our colonies, our trade routes, and even potential threats. It is both our strength and at times our weakness. Your kind can think differently, act unpredictably, and sometimes that is exactly what we need. There are those who wish to challenge not just me, but the Queen herself. They fear change, fear humans, fear what our bond represents. They will act soon, and we must be ready. Someone is tampering with our systems." Humans had their own technology, but this was on a scale he had never imagined. He looked at Lyra, who stood poised yet tense. "What can we do?" he asked. Lyra's gaze met his, steady and commanding. "We act together. I will guide you, but you must trust yourself. Humans are clever. That is why I brought you here." Panels and consoles covered every wall, pulsing with light. Holographic screens displayed streams of data, graphs, and alien symbols he could barely comprehend. Lyra moved to the central console, her hands gliding over controls with ease. "We must find the source of the interference," she said. "It is likely hidden within the palace, and time is limited. If we do not act quickly, the consequences could be catastrophic. It could be the tampering source. Step aside, this is not your fight." "We do not seek to harm you unless forced," she warned. Eli's eyes widened. "You're amazing," he muttered. He realized that the bond between them was not just trust, it was synergy. Together they could face threats that neither could handle alone. The conspirators hesitated, and Eli seized the moment. He darted toward the control panel, analyzing the symbols and controls as quickly as he could. His human intuition allowed him to see patterns the Zorathians might overlook. He identified a sequence of symbols that seemed out of place. With a few careful adjustments, he bypassed the corrupted signals and restored stability to the system. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter as she watched. "You did it. Your kind is remarkable. And yet you acted with courage and intelligence. That is what humans bring to the galaxy: unpredictability, resilience, and heart. Never forget that." They left the control room and moved through quieter corridors. Eli noticed that the palace seemed to respond to their presence. Lights brightened where they walked, and the air hummed softly with approval, as if the palace itself recognized their bond. Lyra led him to a chamber filled with intricate alien machinery. "These devices monitor life, energy, and communication across our colonies. They are sensitive to interference, and the conspirators sought to exploit that. But you prevented disaster. That is why you are important. The memory orb records events and impressions. Few Zorathians can interpret it, but humans, you have an unusual sensitivity. That is why I chose to trust you." Eli learned to interpret the signals, gaining insight into the palace's inner workings and the conspirators' methods. Each discovery strengthened his confidence, and each moment with Lyra reinforced the bond between them. Finally, Lyra spoke. "We have done enough for now. The conspirators will regroup, but they will think twice before acting openly. You have made an impression, not just on me, but on the palace itself." The lights softened, the hum quieted, and the floating gardens outside glowed with renewed brilliance. Eli realized that this moment marked a turning point, not just in his life, but in the relationship between humans and Zorathians. Yet, even as he walked beside Lyra, he knew the danger had not vanished entirely. The conspirators remained, hidden and plotting. The palace, for all its beauty, was also a place of intrigue and challenge. Eli would need every ounce of courage, intelligence, and humanity to face what came next, and as he looked at Lyra, he felt a quiet determination settle within him. Whatever trials awaited, he would not fail. Humans were resilient. Humans were brave. And humans could shine, even in a galaxy that seemed impossible to navigate. The palace had frozen once, watching the hug that had sparked it all. Now it moved forward, alive with energy and anticipation. And so did Eli Parker, human and unstoppable in spirit, ready to face the next challenge. Whatever it might be, Eli Parker felt the weight of the palace pressing down on him. The grand halls and glowing corridors that had amazed him only hours ago now felt tense and charged. Word had traveled fast through the Zorathian court. A human had worked alongside the princess to thwart a threat. Some courtiers were impressed, some suspicious, and others quietly furious. The conspirators who had tried to destabilize the palace had not vanished. They lurked in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike again. Lyra moved beside him, her eyes steady, her presence reassuring. "We cannot wait," she said quietly. "They will try again, but this time we will confront them directly. I trust you, Eli. Will you stand with me?" Human problem-solving had brought him this far. Human courage would carry him through. Lyra raised her hand, and the air shimmered as she activated protective barriers around them. "They cannot harm us here," she said, "but we must act carefully. They are cunning and they will test us." Dressed in dark ceremonial robes, their faces obscured, they moved with precision and intent. Eli realized that they had studied his actions, his patterns, even his reactions, but he would not be intimidated. He had learned quickly, he had adapted, and he had allies he could trust. Lyra stepped forward. "Enough hiding. Your plans have failed, and your deception ends now." He shouted instructions to Lyra, guiding her and synchronizing her defensive energy pulses with his adjustments to the systems. Together, human intuition and Zorathian skill worked as one. Energy pulses collided and neutralized the threat, the conspirators' attacks failing to cause lasting damage. Eli marveled at the synergy, feeling exhilaration and confidence surge. This was proof that humans could not only survive among the stars, but could excel, contribute, and even lead in unexpected ways. One of the conspirators, realizing their plan was unraveling, attempted to escape deeper into the palace. Eli acted on instinct, using his knowledge of the corridors from their earlier explorations to anticipate the escape route. He positioned himself ahead, blocking the way. "You cannot run," he said firmly. The conspirator hesitated, surprised by the human's quick thinking. In that brief pause, Lyra activated a containment field, gently but firmly immobilizing the conspirator without harm. The rest of the conspirators saw their leader captured and immediately surrendered. Eli and Lyra worked swiftly, securing the remaining threats while maintaining the palace's stability. For the first time since his arrival, Eli felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Human courage, ingenuity, and quick thinking had not only protected the palace but had saved countless lives across the empire. Lyra turned to him, her eyes glowing with pride. "You have done more than I imagined. The palace recognizes it, and so do I. You are truly extraordinary, Eli Parker." The energy cores glowed steadily, the floating gardens brightened, and soft hums of harmony filled the halls. The tension that had gripped the court moments ago began to fade. Eli realized that the palace was more than walls and machines. It was alive, and it approved of their unity and courage. Word of their victory spread quickly. Courtiers who had been skeptical or fearful approached cautiously, offering nods of respect and acknowledgement. Even the queen, alerted to the events, arrived personally in the central chamber. She observed Eli and Lyra standing together, seeing the bond and trust they had formed. "Princess Lyra," the queen began, her voice calm but carrying authority, "you have taken a great risk by bringing a human into the heart of our palace." His posture was steady, his gaze honest, and his calm determination unmistakable. "You faced dangers in our halls, human," she said, "and yet you stood firm and acted wisely. That is a rare quality. Humans may be unpredictable, but you have earned our trust today." "I only did what I could, guided by what I believe humans can offer: courage, empathy, and ingenuity." He realized that the barriers between species, the fears and suspicions, were beginning to crumble. Human potential, combined with trust and collaboration, had opened doors that no one thought possible. Lyra's eyes met his, soft but shining with excitement. "You see, Eli, this is only the beginning. Together, humans and Zorathians can achieve more than we ever imagined." He answered questions, shared insights about humanity, and even suggested solutions for challenges the Zorathians faced in distant colonies. Each response earned respect, each gesture built trust, and each conversation reminded him that humans could be more than visitors. They could be partners, friends, and heroes. Later, in a quiet moment, Lyra led Eli to a balcony overlooking the palace's floating gardens. The twin suns of the planet were setting, casting colors that shimmered and danced across the crystalline towers. The palace, once tense and wary, now seemed serene, almost alive with approval. "You've done more than just survive," Lyra said softly. "You've changed perceptions, Eli. You've shown that humans can inspire, protect, and lead. That is something even we Zorathians have struggled to do. You act with heart, even when the stakes are impossibly high. That is why you shine." And with allies like Lyra and the Zorathians willing to trust and collaborate, the future was limitless. The palace, once frozen with tension at a simple hug, now pulsed with energy, harmony, and possibility. Eli Parker had not only earned the trust of a princess and the respect of an empire, but he had also proven that humans, unpredictable and bold, could stand tall among the stars. And as he stood there, feeling the twin suns warm his face and the gentle hum of the palace beneath his feet, Eli knew that this was only the beginning. Adventures awaited, challenges would rise, but humans would meet them, not with fear, but with courage, empathy, and the unshakable spirit that had brought him this far. Lyra's hand brushed against his, a simple gesture of trust and companionship. Eli looked at her and smiled, feeling a connection that transcended species, language, and even worlds. Together, they would face whatever the galaxy had in store. The palace lights shimmered in approval, the floating gardens glowed with life, and the stars beyond twinkled as if acknowledging the dawn of a new era. A human had not just survived the alien court, he had changed it. And in doing so, he had shown that the courage, ingenuity, and heart of humanity could shine brighter than any star. Eli Parker had crossed the threshold of history, and humanity, standing beside him, would never be the same again. The entire palace froze when the alien queen's daughter ran and hugged me HFY Sci-fi Story.